Hey guys, Vincent here. Welcome to a new sequence tutorial. This tutorial is beginner friendly. We will just try to put together moves that you can find in isolated movement tutorials on my channel, namely the spiral, the belly roll, as well as some handstands and one new acrobatic movement. As usual, make sure you are warm before you engage in this practice, and ideally make sure you include in your training some form of prehab. Now let's go over the spiral quickly one more time. Again, if you want to go into the details of it, I will ask you to go back to the tutorial about the spiral. So we're starting standing up, and it's always a good idea to be leaning on the opposite side from where you're going as you take a step to lower yourself towards the ground. So what I see a lot is people starting here and lunging and then going for their spiral, which is all fine, but then again, you don't understand quite fully what it takes to be transferring the weight properly, and this is the only way for you to integrate your movements eventually into sequences, but even more importantly, into improvisations sets. So therefore, if I'm lunging to the left, I want to be leaning on the right, stepping with the left. Again, lunges usually involve the hand on the opposite side from the front foot to be put down. And remember here, the beginner mistake is to keep your hips very square. You want to drop lazily that hip towards the floor to create a path for your knee to slide, or to create a path for your knee and your bum cheek to go on the floor, which in our case is what we want. And from there, we want to keep our feet sliding to face the same way we were facing initially, swap hands, and end up in a 90-90. So one thing we can already understand about many of the Floorwork combinations is that transitioning from a higher level to lying down on the ground usually involves you being at some point on your bum. And therefore you're going to have to recognize the movements that allow you to bring that bum softly on the ground. In that case, we're using the knee as an intermediate between the standing up position and sitting down, which itself will be the intermediate between standing up and lying down. Remember, at first, you want to take the time to gently put that knee down and then sit your bum and then slide your feet and then bring them towards the side you want to finish towards. But eventually you want all this to be mingled in one single motion, which means the back foot is going to slide earlier, and we're going to slide on the knee, and we're not going to stop as the bum goes on the floor. The hand goes down, the back foot already slides, the knee is almost on the same line as this front foot. We pivot on it, the bum goes down, we're already there. Here, hand, foot slides, knee, bum, and turn. This eventually will allow you to bring a bum spin into the equation and pivot even more. Once we find ourselves on our bum, and this is why this 90-90 position is so important in Floorwork, we can decide to travel towards the floor. We have two main ways to do that. One involves this fetus roll that we've been talking about before. And the other involves the belly going towards the floor as we slide the back upper leg here. And from that position, just to remind you, this leg was traveling across this leg, and we were pushing on both hands to end up facing again the same wall. So, fingers facing backwards, lower your belly button towards the floor, slide the back upper leg, cross the legs, push on the hands. And one thing I really like to do when we warm up is to ask my students to be in a 90-90 with the knees facing the right, let's say, open the legs, which is extend the knees, and then close again in a 90-90 facing the other way. And this is not as simple as doing this. The idea is to integrate already that floor work is about having one continuous motion. So both knees have to be extending at the same time and flexing at the same time. Both legs are kind of acting in a symmetrical way. You can point your feet if you want to be prettier. And there's never, despite the clunkiness, any kind of stops. You want to find a smooth way from one side to the other. And for those of you who have tighter hips, that might be a very good drill to be performing on a regular basis. Now this is a simple transition from one 90-90 to the other. We're going to add this at the end of the belly roll. So 90-90, belly roll, open, close. 90-90, belly roll, open, close. And from there, I want to transition simply from 90-90 to fisherman squat. Just to remind you how this works, the back upper leg first is going to position itself like this, with the back foot in front of this front foot. From this position, here the knees facing the ceiling, we push on the hand to sit our bum on the heel. So that's a 90-90, that's a fisherman. Now try this. 90-90, open, close, slide, fisherman. Down, 90-90, open, close, slide, fisherman. Dum, 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 dum. Doop, doop, doop. Here. Everything together. Belly roll. Open, close, slide, fisherman. Belly roll. Open the legs, 90-90, slide, fisherman. Last part for today, bringing into the equation the spiral we saw initially. So remember, we were leaning on the opposite side, taking a step. Coming back with our hips facing the same wall. Going into a 90-90 with the knees facing where we're going. Transitioning into a belly roll. Opening the legs, closing the legs, fisherman and up. Spiral, belly roll, open, up, and here we have a loop. That is a very precious learning tool for us to find a sequence that ends and finishes the same. So that's it for today, guys. That is the first video. In the second video of this tutorial, we will try to see how we can add some acrobatic elements into that sequence. But first, practice until you get that loop smooth and nice. If you have any questions, just like usual, drop me a message below and I will get back to you as soon as possible.